welcome to another Murray Meets. And who have we got today? Well, we're going north. We're going up to, I think actually it has to be one of my favorite. It's in the top 3 of my most favorite places to go to, which is Iceland. And we have with us today a good friend of mine, Arsaell Hardarson, who's the regional manager for commercial sales and marketing, looking after all of the GSAs worldwide. But that is just the tip of the iceberg, because I know, Arsaell, you have such a background, which I'm looking forward to sharing with everybody. First of all, welcome. How are you? How is Iceland today?
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ian. Very, very nice to see you, and pleasure to be with you today. Well, Iceland is just, preparing for Christmas, so everybody is happy and, looking forward to spend some time with family and things like that. So we're in good shape, yeah.
Good shape. Good. Well, look, before we go into a little bit about Icelandair, what's been happening, the journey over the last year and a half, let's just introduce you. And why don't you just, if you could, just say a few words about yourself, where you've been, your background, and all that amazing experience you have.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, where to start? I was educated in Copenhagen, so I speak the Danish language fluently. That's very good.
Right.
That's helped me a lot during my time in the business.
Yes.
So I came to Iceland and started working for the student union as a managing director. So that's where I got into the tourism business. My thesis from the Copenhagen Business University was about incoming tourism into Iceland. So that was my line of interest. And I worked with a student travel agency for some years, which was connected to Kilroy. Some of you know Kilroy. And then from there, I went to Icelandair, starting in the frequent flyer department, leading that and building that up. Later was sent to Copenhagen to take care of the sales and marketing in Scandinavia, and came back and started working with the Tourist Board of Iceland as a director for all overseas markets, and stayed there for a few years, where I came back to Icelandair and took over the GSA department, which was a very small one with only a couple of contracts. And we have built that up to more than 30 contracts worldwide today. So I've been around, yeah, as you can see from my here.
Fantastic. Well, listen, it's a great start, and I'm sure as we talk more, we can go around the world and start sharing some of that insight that you've built up. And listen, we're super proud to be part of that journey. I'm super happy to be representing you in a number of those markets. So it's great all round. So look, let's go back. Let's turn the clock back a little bit to 2020. And really, what I'm interested to know is, I think first of all, let's talk a little bit about the business of Icelandair and how you've grown that business, and what the approach is of Icelandair, because you are this island, you're there slap bang in the middle of the transatlantic, the biggest market in the world. So how does the business model work, and why have you got all of those offline markets, etc., part of that story?
Well, as you know, our business model is a simple one. It's really based on the geographical location of Iceland, being in the middle of Europe and North America. So everyone who's flying from Europe to North America will eventually fly over Iceland or just south of Iceland. So what we have been doing is that we utilize this geographical location to fly Europeans to North America and vice versa. That means that with only few aircraft, we can serve a lot of markets in Europe and a lot of markets in North America. And this is quite efficient because you have Keflavik Airport as a very convenient hub to stop 1 hour and then continue. And that means we can do it on smaller aircraft. We don't need the long-range aircraft, and we've been doing this quite successfully until the pandemic came. And just before that, we were grounded with the MAX 737 aircraft that we were building up in our fleet. So this has been very successful for us, and we've made a lot of money out of it. during the years. And since you asked about the GSA part of it, this network is limited to 24 hours range. You need to turn the aircraft around in 24 hours, so it's more or less always in the air. And that means that we cannot reach more than certain distance. So we are not serving Eastern Europe like Russia or China or the most southern part of Europe, except for with one stop more or less. So that's where the GSA comes in, where we partner up with companies like yours and have friends in each destination where we do not serve to feed into our network.
Yeah.
And more or less, not maybe so much to the US, to North America, more or less into Iceland as a destination.
Right. So an incredibly connected product, you know, a product that's has a finite operation, but is connected globally. So when the pandemic hit, how did it affect you guys? What was that impact?
Oh, that was huge. I mean, from I think March 20, we were more or less grounded. So what we did was that we, USA closed down. We had like in North America, Canada was first, and then US. We had like 15 or 16 gateways in North America. So we were just grounding most of the fleet. We still had open a couple of gates in Europe, and we could maintain one gate in North America, which was Boston. We made agreement with Icelandic government and the US government to keep it open no matter what.
Right.
So we were flying half empty or more than that 3 times a week to Boston, and then 2-3 times to London and Paris. That was all. No, Amsterdam, sorry. So that was all. We had 3 gateways open all the time.
Wow.
But we had to, get rid of like 2,000 employees. We had no revenue, and that was the whole situation until more or less the summer came, where we could open Scandinavia and Europe. Iceland was open more or less all the time, so we could gradually start building up from the summer.
Yes.
So this has been a very tough ride for us.
Yes. Yes. When you did open, did you find that the traffic kind of just came back really quickly? I mean, there's a lot of stories about the pent-up demand. I mean, did you feel that on your flights?
Well, yeah, we did, but only in certain regions. Some regions did not react. We did the US, when they found out that Iceland was open to them, they just came in really, really quickly, and they are the majority of the nationalities that came this year. They are by far the largest. Okay. And then also we got a lot of Germans. They also found out that Iceland was open to them, and then Scandinavians. From Asia, nothing at all.
No.
China was closed, Japan was closed, and Finnair was grounded like we were. And a lot of the capacity was just gone away.
Yes.
So we didn't get much feed into the network. No. But those 3 destinations, US, Germany, and Scandinavia, and to our surprise, Italy came very strong in.
Right.
That was great. Yeah. And like you said, pent-up demand. People from these countries, they just came by the flocks. They were really, really happy to come. And
islands, being an island.
Yeah,
I think that's something that I noticed is that those who were traveling, and obviously a lot of cautious return for a majority. The diehards are going to just fly anywhere as soon as the plane fly. But the island opportunity, because it was seen as a safer harbour to go to. Do you think that was an impact?
Absolutely, and we noticed that people, they stayed away from the bus traveling, with big buses. So they took the rental cars with their friends and kept into their own bubble, and then drove around the island, and which is very sparsely populated. Yes. So they felt that they were not so crowded.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So look, it's all about management of the basics, right? During that time, managing your cash flow, managing resources, managing the operation. But you're through, and here we are now, looking ahead at 2022. How does that look for you guys? What's your schedules? What are you planning? How optimistic do you feel? Can you give a sense of that?
Yeah, if I may just tell you before that a few interesting points from our perspective.
Yes.
The first one was what I mentioned before, that we were grounded with the MAXes before the pandemic came.
Yes.
That was a big, big challenge for us. Then we got the pandemic, and then we were totally grounded, more or less, like I said before. So we were on the brink of bankruptcy, and we were not like somebody else was. Like we are not a state-owned company. We are just a private company. So what we did was that we very quickly, I think we were the first ones to make a new deal with Boeing about the MAX. So we did a good deal, got some compensation, and we got in front of the line for a new MAX where they were able to fly, so we could get more new aircraft. Secondly, we went to the market and asked the market if they believed in our business model in the future. So we got new financing with 6,000 new shareholders. All the pension funds in Iceland, banks and industrial investors. So we got full financing for the next 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
And almost 6,000 Icelandic individuals came in as a new investors.
Wow.
So we made the financing very, very successful.
Yes.
Before the pandemic was sort of over.
Yes.
So that was really a big challenge for us. And when we then were able to start again, we had the additional challenge that the aircraft, they were all stocked away somewhere in deserts, and we had to get them back like everybody else. So there was a queue on these deserts, and they couldn't deliver fast enough to everyone. So this was a great challenge for us to make this all happen all at the same time.
Yeah.
So and we made that, and at the same time we started streamlining the company. We had all kinds of sister companies like Air Iceland Domestic. We merged that into the Icelandair. We had also Iceland's largest inbound tour operator, Iceland Travel, and we merged that into Icelandair. And now the last one is the Vita, is our largest Icelandic outbound tour operator. It's going to be merged into Icelandair at the same time. So we are now one company instead of a group of companies.
Yeah.
And that is getting a lot more focus on the airline itself, and these companies will be just integrated into our operations. So we've been busy, even though we have been a lot fewer, and we have been doing all these things simultaneously. So that's really a story by itself. Now back to 22. We think 22 might be a very good start to build up again. And we have been ramping up our schedule. And at the moment, I think we are operating like 16 or 17 aircraft. And we are heading into the summer of 22 with 30 aircraft.
Wow.
We have secured our 30 aircraft, and we have been rehiring all the crews, and they need training and things like that. So we are going to be like 70-80% of what we were in 2019. So that is our plan, and that is what we are working on. And that means that we are rebuilding all the same gateways that we had before, and even adding a couple of new gateways to the network. So we are quite optimistic for next year, and we, of course, this will depend on how the pandemic will develop, of course.
Yes, of course. course.
but we are optimistic, and we really see bookings are already coming in for the summer. And we see a very strong North America. We see UK very strong.
Yeah.
We see Scandinavia, and we see Central Europe very strong.
Yeah.
And there's also a great demand from Italy and Spain.
Wow.
Rest of the world, we don't know. That's also, this is the 90% of the business anyway. So we don't see big weaknesses anywhere, except for Asia and the faraway markets.
Yes. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're all preparing for, the pandemic's not going to go away. So we're all learning to live with this, aren't we? And we're all learning to run a business that has a relatively short window. You don't tend to look more than 12 months ahead at any one time now. I think the days of looking 5 years ahead, I think we're kind of a bit more into a shorter term planning, and possibly, if there is an upside, the need to rationalize, the need to be more efficient has made the carriers a bit lighter on their feet, a little bit easier to adapt. I've heard repeatedly the ability for airlines to turn around routes. We're not going to do this one, we're going to drop that, we're going to pick up this one instead. And the whole operation, from the aircraft through the engineers, through the operational to the sales and marketing, they've all kind of formed a new chain that is very, very easy to move from one to another. And it sounds like you're in a similar place, alongside all of the necessary financial investment. I mean, having all that local investors. I mean, talk about support your local business. I mean, that's a great story.
That's really good. Yeah. And it's particularly good that we don't have the state involved in it.
Yes.
So that's really, really makes us different from like SAS or Finnair, who are heavily, owned by the state, and that's really a difficult situation to be in. And much better to be with the private investors who believe in the business model.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think,
absolutely, and it's testament to the passion that those people have for
exactly.
right? I mean, look, I've worked with you guys for a long time. There is something very special about your brand and your product. And I think we should touch upon that a little bit. What is, for me, it's hard to really separate the beauty of the island and the warmth of the islanders with the brand and the product, and it translates from the ground to the aircraft and the experience. In addition to that, I think it's always been your innovation. You're such an innovative gang. You come up with new concepts and ideas. I mean, do you just want to? Can you put it into words what the brand of Icelandair is? I mean, the magic of it.
Yeah, I think it has very deep roots into the character of the Icelandic people.
Yes.
I think we are almost 85 years old company, and we started in the late 30s, with pioneers, because we are an isolated island with very difficult weather conditions, and we were so much relying on the outer world for import and to export our seafood goods, and that was really hard. So the pioneers started to try to fly between Iceland and Scotland and Scandinavia, and later to North America. So this spirit is very much ingrown into the Icelandic self-consciousness. We all know this history, and we are proud of it,
Yes.
And then we have made a successful business out of it, and a lot of people have worked with us and worked for us, and in a small community we have like 4,000 employees when we are at our peak. That's 4,000 families. That's 20,000 people.
Yes.
Yes. So that's really ingrown into our identity, I think.
Yes.
And then we are also very proud of our beautiful country and the countryside and the purity of it.
Yes.
And now people are very much into the sustainability of a destination, sustainability of a nation. And there we come very strong in, because even though we are flying and we are polluting, we are renewing the whole fleet to be one of the youngest in Europe. And at the same time, we have, and we are very conscious about this, the whole island is energized by non-carbon fuel. You know, we have this electricity and geothermal energy, which nobody else has. So 100% of our heating of houses are renewable.
Yes.
And even the big factory, like the aluminum factories, they are fueled by hydrogen electric, not like in China with carbon coal, you know. So this is our reality. We are really doing our part in the sustainability world. So, and we are conscious about this. This is part of our DNA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds. I think you've just. That's it. I mean, you've summed it up there. You know, it's everything from the minerals in the ground to the people to the brand. And I think for all of the brands out there, I mean, you guys will undoubtedly bounce back really strong next year. I mean, as we look to finish up this chat, then, I mean, Arsaell, is there anything that you'd like to say to the trade? I mean, obviously we've got followers here from different parts of the world, particularly on the trade side. Is there any message you'd like to give to them about next year and your brand and the island and obviously apart from
I think you touched upon it just earlier. I think when we were discussing last summer, when people were coming to Iceland, because it was an island and it was an open island, and I think we have started already to go to other countries for sales and marketing purposes. I'm coming from Eastern Europe last week. I went to 3 countries in 4 days to meet with tour operators and met with our joint friends in Hungary and in more countries, and in Poland and things like that. And what I sensed by these tour operators that we met is that they were so happy to see us, because they haven't seen anyone. And we are starting to market the destination. And not to brag about it, but I heard many times that they thought that the North would be more interesting now in the post-pandemic era than before. And I have difficulties in explaining it, but they said that there were a lot of interest in the North, in Greenland, in Iceland, in Scotland, in northern Norway, rather than the typical big cities and crowded places. So they were quite interested in getting so much information about Iceland, Scotland, Greenland, Faroe Islands even, So
I'm not surprised.
That's a shift.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, because I look, during a period where everybody's been locked in and locked down, 2 things. Number one is people have revisited. You hear it a lot, don't you? I re-looked at my life. I've reconsidered how I want to be, and a few things have come out. One is I want to travel. When I get out of this, I want to get out and I want to travel. I've only got one life, and I want to maximize that. And I think that's part of it. I think the other side to it is, when I do travel, I want to experience the outdoors. We all got used to doing walks. I think people have probably walked more in the last year and a half they've ever walked. And so nature and the simplicity of life has become a big part again of what we consider to be of value. And therefore, it's natural that when you put those 2 together, you're going to see a hunger to go to the fjords in Scandinavia, to want to go up to Scotland, to want to go to Iceland, maybe even to Greenland, maybe up north in Canada. I mean, I get it. I can see that being something that is really, because as you're talking, I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking, I want to do that. I want to get a car and drive as north as I can in Norway. Maybe it's time to see those northern lights and to maybe mix up my travel with yes, I want to get some sunshine. We need the vitamin D, but we also want to go the other way because we want to keep feeling that experience of the world on a ground level. So I think that's a really interesting point.
I think it is, and this suits us quite well. Like
Yes.
I said before, I mean, this destination of Iceland is such a beauty. You know, we have even developed together with the car companies the super jeep concept, which can drive into the mountains, into the glaciers who are disappearing now, without ruining anything. You know, they have such huge tires. They are very light on the ground, and they don't make marks.
Wow.
We are now flying into the southern pole, South Pole, with Icelandair flight. We are flying from South America to the pole with tourists and researchers. So that this spirit of entrepreneurs and pioneers is so strong, and we are good to market this. And I think we can attract a lot of new customers from all over into Iceland through our network. So we are positive and very optimistic.
I'm there. I'm in. Where are we going?
Yes, where are we going? Yeah.
Where we go? Well, look, I think that's a brilliant way to finish up. Is there any last words you want to say to the trade, to your customers? Any last comments before we finish up?
Yeah, I think I don't really know who your audience will be. I hope all your GSAs will be able to see this in the world. So, and I have a very good relationship with all of them, and they are really, really good customers of ours. And I would just say to them, I mean, keep up the good work. They have been really working hard, and they've had a hard time as us. But most of them, they have survived, and I'm so happy to know that they are still there, and I am still in contact with them. So keep up the spirit and bring us more customers to Iceland. So, and I will be inviting them again to Iceland to meet with us and find out where we stand and where we can work more together.
Oh, fantastic!
So,
well, look, you are
good partnership, very good partnership.
You're such a great ambassador. On a number of levels, for me, you represent all the best that Iceland has to bring. You're super supportive to us and our peers in the other GSA companies. We all share the same passion for travel, but in particular for your island. I mean, as I said, I can't describe. I couldn't put into words what Iceland does to me every time I come up to that island. There's something special. I think you're right. It's for me. It's from the rocks through to the people. It's the whole combination of everything that's there, which makes it very special. I think that you will bounce back super quick because you have everything to offer and so much to gain for everybody, for yourselves, and for those who come out and visit the island. So look, I wish you personally a really great Christmas and a really successful 2022. I wish your guys in the team and the company and everybody I work with as well all the very best. I cannot wait to come out and see you in person. I'll throw that one out there straight away. Don't hesitate to call up and we can meet in the new year. But I wish the airline and all the customers that want to come to Iceland all the very best for 2022. So thank you so much for joining us on this call.
Thank you, Ian. It was a pleasure, and please give all the best regard to all our friends around the world from us here. And Merry Christmas to you all.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. We'll talk.